You got to kick it off with a killer to grab attention. Then you got to take it up a notch.
The Matrix is everywhere. It is all around us.
Who are you? I'm Shiva, the god of death.
Cells. Interlinked.
It's like people only do things because they get paid. And that's just really sad.
Folks, welcome to Debaser, a film podcast. I'm Jared Rusk, and I'm joined by my co-host, Will.
I'm afraid of everything.
You're damn right he is. On this show, we explore new and familiar movies as we attempt to analyze and interpret them, all in an effort to debase the films and ourselves, and even make ourselves a little afraid. Will, today, we are discussing...
Beau is Afraid. That's right.
She's very pretty. Is that the type of girl you're attracted to?
I am so sorry for what your daddy passed down to you. But I wanted a child.
I'm visiting my mother tomorrow. Do you ever wish that she was dead? What?
Beau? Are you on your way?
I'm on my way. It's not safe, is it?
I sincerely doubt that.
I'm sure you'll do the right thing, sweetheart.
Beau is Afraid is a 2023 fantastical horror comedy written and directed by Ari Aster. You may be familiar with Aster's other films, 2018's Hereditary and 2019's Midsommar. You may notice that those movies came out back to back,
Yeah,
but
which is
several
wild.
years ago.
I didn't actually realize that they were literally within years of
Back
each
to
other.
back. And he's been working on this one for a long time. But
I
also,
know he has.
Also, COVID hit too, so I think
Yeah.
that had something to do with it.
Actually, that was going to be a point that I was going to bring up. I remembered, like, before the pandemic, before I think I even moved, they were working on this
Yes.
movie because...
It was originally titled Disappointment Boulevard. That's how I remember it being announced.
Oh, shit. Yeah, I just remember seeing a screen grab of Joaquin Phoenix in his underwear and a white T-shirt in the middle of the street. Very similar to Daniel Radcliffe in Guns Akimbo.
Oh, right. Yeah.
And people are like, oh, this is Ari Aster's next movie. And
Yeah,
I was like,
yeah.
oh, fuck, what is this? This is going to be awesome,
Yeah.
you know?
I remember, I think the first picture I ever saw was him on the, like the sunbathing lounger by the pool.
Oh, yeah.
Where it's actually a flashback to when he was a kid.
Right.
And, but for a moment, he's like his current
I
age.
do remember that, but I can't remember when
I think it's on the poster too.
Yeah,
honestly,
yeah.
So anyway, the titular Beau is played by Joaquin Phoenix. The film's cast also includes Patti LuPone, Nathan Lane, Amy Ryan, Parker Posey, Stephen McKinley Henderson, very dear to our heart, and Richard Kind. Stephen McKinley Henderson is the guy from Lady Bird and Dune.
Okay, yeah.
So good.
Yeah, he's the therapist, right?
Yes, he's the therapist
Yes.
in this.
Yeah, oh man,
Yes.
he had me cracking up this
good.
movie. Aptly put, horror comedy, although
That's my own spin, because Wikipedia had like a very strange... I didn't necessarily agree with the genre descriptions.
Yeah.
I'm just calling it a fantastical horror comedy,
I
because it's
don't
a
know,
lot of things.
I don't even know if it would be like there are certain aspects of it that are horror, but
Yeah.
but it was definitely
It
more
is
of a-
moments of terror,
Yes.
for sure.
Yeah.
But if you're going into this expecting...
Hereditary or Midsommar.
Right, another of Ari Aster's films.
You're not getting that.
It's not quite there.
No.
You're going to see him in it, for sure.
Yeah.
So let me put this up top.
Go for it.
If you're listening to this and you are undecided on if you should see the movie or not, let me preface by saying that if you have any interest in horror films, please watch Hereditary and or Midsommar. They're both incredible, and I think they are two of the greatest horror movies ever made. That's just
Yes.
my opinion, though.
No,
I think Will shares this opinion with me.
that is fact. Well, once again, when a normal person that I don't know asks me, "Well, what's your favorite horror movie?" Whenever I do bring up that I like horror movies, I immediately go to Hereditary.
Yeah,
that is
same.
my staple favorite.
For me, it's Hereditary, and It Follows.
Yeah, for me, it's actually Martyrs, and then
Well.
and then it's Hereditary. But I can't. You have been telling me I have to pull back on suggesting Martyrs to everybody that I meet. So
Yeah, because you're going to traumatize somebody.
yeah, I'm waiting for it. I'm waiting for them to get back to me and be like, "What the fuck did you tell me to watch?" But
I
Hereditary.
can't leave my house now. I watched Martyrs.
But Hereditary is the quintessential horror movie. It's got fucking everything, and
Yeah.
I love that movie to death. And
I'm glad you like it so much, because I thought most people I meet that have seen both,
like Midsommar more.
yes,
Yeah.
most people do, and I think it's great.
It's a
But
great movie.
Hereditary had more of an impact on me and was
Yes.
more personal for me.
Yeah, and
And-
Toni Collette got fucking snubbed.
Man.
What a fantastic performance. And it's
Toni
crazy.
Collette fucking,
served it up.
God damn it.
I know.
So good.
She's amazing. I love her. Every time I
Yeah.
see her in something now,
I
go out of my way
want
to watch it.
rewatch The Sixth Sense. I haven't seen it since
She
it
is
came out.
she is the
She's
mom in Sixth Sense, and she I didn't realize, like, I hadn't
Yeah.
watched. I've never seen that movie until I was an adult.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
It was actually, I didn't see that movie until after I'd seen Hereditary.
Yeah. See, I
And-
want to rewatch it knowing her performance in that.
She's great.
I know. I remember there was buzz about her back then.
Yeah.
You know, I was a kid, but I remember renting it and being like, everybody is so good in this. This movie is so cool.
Yeah, man, I love Toni Collette. If you're listening to this, be my second mom, please.
Okay, I'm going to move right past that. So if you've seen, or if you have any interest in horror films, please watch Hereditary or Midsommar. And if you have seen either of those films, preferably both, ask yourself if you think you would be on the same wavelength as the writer and director of those films. And would you be interested in a surrealist Oedipus Odyssey that's equal parts black humor and immersive anxiety? Can you sit in a theater screaming, laughing, and squirming for 3 hours? Then this may be the film for you. To be reductive, I would compare it to The Truman Show and Inherent Vice.
Yeah.
But it is very much its own
It is its own thing.
unique and very personal film for
Yeah.
Ari. It feels like a therapy session in film, to be honest. But with that being said, here's your spoiler alert. It's almost impossible to discuss this movie without giving away major plot points and scenes in the film. So let's be honest, most people aren't going to see this.
Yeah.
And most people aren't going to like it. It's been very divisive in theaters.
Yeah.
So that's your warning. Keep listening though. Come on. You're not going to see it. We had to drive so far away to go see this movie.
If at the end of this episode you like everything that you hear, I would definitely take a chance on it. I would
Yeah.
love money to go to Ari Aster's pocket. He is
We do support the arts on this podcast.
he's a fantastic director, and he deserves all the accolades, and I want him to continue making movies. I want
him to have a long storied career.
Yeah, I don't want this to end up like Neil. I've been thinking about this ever since I left the theater. Unfortunately, this is his worst movie, and that's not saying a lot because it's not a bad movie. In my opinion, it's a really good movie, but it is the worst of his trio. And if I have, a little bit of anxiety over his career after this, because Chappie killed Neil Blomkamp's career for the longest of time. That was his third movie,
okay.
and that was, it was so bad that he's been in director jail for a while.
Yeah.
And so,
But I think Chappie had a much bigger budget. I think
it did, but it still made over that budget. Did it not?
It
didn't-
broke even?
I didn't
I
think
haven't looked it up
I'm
on
pretty sure it
Box
didn't
Office Mojo,
lose
yeah.
money, but it wasn't good. It was a bad film.
Well, it had abysmal reviews.
Yeah.
Both critically and audience scores.
Yeah.
It has its champions, but they're few and far between.
I'm one of them.
Yeah.
I have not met like
we know.
Yeah. But this movie's good. And as I've told you, and I'm going to say it again, this movie feels like he put the most effort into it.
Yes.
Ari put his heart and soul and probably all of his anxieties too into this movie.
Yes.
And it is really sad to see how much effort was put into the story only for it to be 3 hours long and not get the credit it deserves. It's good, but like it's hard. It's hard one to watch.
I don't think you need to be sad about it. I think it's just, we can just be happy that this film exists.
Yeah.
And that it was out there and was able to be made. Because there's so many films that are personal that don't ever get made or get canceled in production or shot
true.
down before they even get to the screenwriting process.
Yeah.
But we should just be happy that it's out there. And it's, it's getting, I'm afraid to say mixed reviews because they're more positive than negative.
Yeah.
But
isn't it at like a 70?
It's in the 70s on Rotten Tomatoes, but
I think that's perfectly fine.
right. It's low for him, but it's only his third movie. So he's so early in his career that I feel like it's too premature
To say that he's going to be dead on the next one or he's not
right.
going to get
And
another
I
one.
don't think this is going to hurt his career. Like I don't think it's going to be a box office smash. It's already not looking great,
No.
return wise, but it's had a severely limited release. I think A24 knew like this isn't.
Yeah, I was going to say A24 knows that they take losses on a lot of the stuff that they put out.
But they've made so much money off of his previous two films that I think they're fine. They're like, you know what, Ari,
just keep doing what you're
it's
doing,
fine.
baby.
Yeah. small sidebar here, but
Yeah.
you've seen the trailer for Talk to Me by now, I know.
I have, yeah. I saw it in theaters with you.
Right. Well, I've seen it multiple times, but
Okay.
that was like the most recent time I've
only
seen it in front
once.
of this movie.
Yeah.
Talk to Me is A24's like upcoming horror movie.
Yes.
And it's directed by two guys. I don't know their names off the top of my head, but they are Australian. Anyway, I think Talk to Me is going to be a smash. Like, I think that
it
trailer has everything like general audiences want in a horror
I was gonna
movie.
say it's definitely gonna play well with general audiences.
Yes, it's gonna. Was it PG-13 or R?
I think it's R.
Okay.
Still, like if
It's
you're
gonna
17,
kill.
you're gonna take your
Well,
significant other to
And
it.
so many like 15, 16-year-olds are
Yeah.
gonna like beg their like parents or older siblings to like get them in.
Yeah.
That movie's gonna make so much money.
Yeah.
I'm convinced. Well, and for a indie horror movie, it's gonna
Yes.
make tons of money.
This is-
it might not be Conjuring level money, but it will be huge for A24.
Watch yourself.
I did a small slide.
It might rival Megan. Watch it, like that might be.
Oh, that's right, because Megan made shitloads of money.
Yeah, well, like-
but that's Blumhouse for you.
I
yeah.
know, but like, wouldn't that be cool? I think that would be really neat.
Right, because that movie, I haven't seen it. I'm only vaguely familiar with those creators. I just know that they cut their teeth making YouTube videos
Oh, okay.
with like Master Chief and Call of Duty and stuff.
Oh, tight.
Yeah.
Very cool.
But they very much like grew up as like YouTube creators and like learning VFX of teaching themselves how to do self-editing. and
Fuck
stuff like
yeah.
that.
I'll see it.
Yeah, because these guys are very much like taught themselves to direct essentially. And,
Awesome.
And this is their first major motion picture that A24 like decided to bank on, and the
love
trailer
it.
looks great. I think this movie's going to be amazing. I can't wait to see that.
I love that A24 takes chances on
Yeah.
on people. We wouldn't have nearly as many good stories if they didn't.
I mean, it's okay. In our circle and where we live, it's like not a lot of people know what A24 is.
Yeah.
But in like LA and like New York, it is such a trope to be like the A24
guy.
hipster guy.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. Because they even make like dad hats and t-shirts and sweaters that people wear all the time. And it's just like, it's like the trendy hipster thing to wear now out there. But we wouldn't know that. I only know it from podcasts and stuff and blogs.
We're not those people.
I know,
I just
but
like their movies.
I'm like, we would definitely fit right in with those guys because we're like, yeah, dude, they make so many good fucking movies, dog.
All right. We've beaten around the bush for like 5 fucking minutes. We
yeah.
do need to talk about this movie.
I'm out of prepared text too.
Oh, it's okay. Let's just get right into it. So, do you want to start with like how the movie starts? Do we want to like talk about like all the different beats, or do we want to talk about the overarching?
I think it's a fool's errand to try to run through this movie plot wise.
There's no fucking
We
way.
would get so lost and we'd be here until after midnight.
Yeah.
So, yeah, how do you even discuss this movie? So, this movie is clearly made by someone that suffers from anxiety. And
Yes.
if you haven't been afflicted with anxiety in your life, to a degree where it could be medically diagnosed,
Yeah.
this film will give you a great window into what that's like.
It's unreal. As a
Yes.
as a person who does not have anxiety, thankfully,
Yeah.
it was very hard to watch just the opening bit because this is a character that is concerned about everything around them.
Yes. And everything is amplified.
Yeah.
To a degree where the film, I described it as fantastical.
Yeah.
Because so many things are happening and you question if it's even real.
Me specifically.
Well, yeah, I wasn't trying to call you out,
No,
but
no,
you
no,
literally are as you're watching the film. You're like,
Yeah.
wait, is this in his head?
I'm going to talk about how like I'm pretty sure the majority of it's in his head, but we can talk back and forth about that. But yeah. It's every scene in the city where he's going from his therapy session to his home.
Yes.
Is jam packed full of people. There's so many people. There's so much shit on the walls.
Not just people, but background scenes,
Stuff, yeah.
posters,
Yeah.
signs. Yeah. Ari crammed so much into this movie, every little scene. And I was just reading an article earlier where the writer was able to get a digital copy of the film from A24 so that he could literally watch on his laptop and pause it and catch and read everything in the background.
Yeah.
Because it's too much to even catch the first time, maybe even the second or third, because he literally had to pause it to get everything.
Yeah.
And there's just so much happening. There's just gags and surrealist art and just
when
references to things that have happened or will happen in the film in the background.
When I was trying to take notes in the theater, I did write down as like, hey, it looks like Ninja and Yolandi actually, were invited on set to do a lot of the graffiti.
There's so many graffiti art of like a men jacking off or peeing or
shitting everywhere, and there's like the band that's like "fuck my ass," the band. And
Bo lives above a XXX shop called.
Oh yeah, that's got like
ejaculating. Wait, what is it? Erecting, ejaculating.
They had a sign. They had a sign of all the different things you could get, and it was like
I read all of it. I remember at one point,
like a dick twister, the squirting frog.
Yeah,
like just some really
insane shit.
Yeah.
But then I remember the very last one was just sounded super tame, and I was like, oh, the joke is like you get all the way to the bottom, and the last one is like the tamest thing that they have.
Fucking wild.
But there's like non-sexual like background art too.
Yeah.
So the film actually has. In the opening credits, when you're seeing production company logos, one of them is for a company you've probably never heard of. It's called MW, and come to find out that is Bo's mother's company within the movie. Because you start to see the logo everywhere, and then later you see a news briefing where it's announced that she was the CEO of that company.
And then so clever.
When he gets back to his mother's house during the funeral, and is looking at the timeline for the company of all their products, all of the products were built and marketed with his exact
face on it, or his likeness or something like that.
Not just that, but they were either afflictions that he was suffering from at the time.
Yeah.
And you could chart his entire life through the products that they were creating and marketing.
Yeah.
Because you go from like, infant stuff to like when he's a teenager, there's like an acne medicine that they've made. Yeah, it's just wild shit.
That's really cool. We forgot that the movie fucking opens up with him being born and dropped on the ground.
Right. The cold open of this movie is a child in utero being birthed, and it's traumatizing. Like it is his first trauma. Like he's born into this world with trauma.
He's having to breathe.
It's too loud. It's too bright.
Yeah.
He's immediately spanked because the mom is freaking out, having a panic attack.
They dropped him
during the birth. Oh, is that what happened?
Yeah, they dropped him, and that's what incites her.
I think I remember hearing the doctor say,
"No, he's fine. He's okay. He's okay." Yeah.
And the mother is,
which is what I would have done.
Even before he comes out, though, the mom is freaking out.
Yeah. Well, childbirth is painful,
but also as we learn, the mother is extremely neurotic.
Yeah, she's got her own
controlling.
neuroses.
Yes. And I don't think they do this anymore, but they spank him so that he starts to cry. That's not a modern thing, right? He was born in '78 in the film. So.
They did not spank my kid,
your child,
to get him. But I mean, to relate to that trauma. I know I've told you, but I'll tell everybody here.
Do you want to tell that story?
Yeah, okay. Yeah. It was scary for me. It was like one of the handful of times where I felt pure dread. My wife was induced early. It was on January 6th of 2021. We all know what happened that day. They were hiding information from her to keep her heart rate down. Mm-hmm. But, I'm watching this as my wife is going into labor. And then when he finally was born, which was at 12:40 the very next day, so his birthday's not Jan 6th.
Thank God.
They had to give her a drug to lower her heartbeat and make her relax. Mm-hmm. Well, of course, that's going through her system, so it's going through his system. Mm-hmm. So when he came out, he wasn't making noise at all. And I was standing in the corner of the room trying not to be in anybody's way. But he comes out, he's not making any noise. To the point where I know the doctor who was, clearing him out and getting him warm and all this stuff looked at me and said, "He's fine. He's okay," to assuage my concerns. But my monkey brain was like, my kid is dead. And then my wife passes out. And so like, oh, my worst reality has come to life. I have lost both my child and my wife. The world is literally coming to an end. Like, what the fuck am I going to do? Thankfully, that wasn't the case, but it was a traumatizing event for me. I can only imagine what it's like to be even born in this world. Thank God you don't ever remember any of that, because it's got to be awful.
Yeah.
But yeah, to relate to the movie, because I don't after that point, watching this movie, it was not relatable to me, which made a lot of the imagery kind of crazy and fantastical to the point where I was like, okay, Bo is not a reliable narrator, which I still think he isn't.
No. That's intentional. Yeah.
And like, you know, I was able to sit back and watch as like an observer that can't really relate.
Right.
But I know I'm not the person that this movie is for. It's for people who can. You know?
I think it's for everybody. I don't sell yourself short.
It's not for everybody.
Well, it's not for everybody in the sense that like not everybody will enjoy it.
Yeah.
But you don't need to be a neurotic, anxiety-ridden person to
Right.
enjoy it.
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
you can still have a good time.
I did, but it's like it's. There are certain things that happen in some movies where if you have a similar relationship with the subject matter,
Yeah.
it resonates with you more.
Right. 1000%.
Like
yeah.
Skinamarink. I had, you know,
I still haven't seen that.
it's okay. Hey, you know, I watched it with my wife and some friends, and all of us were like trying to interpret it. But one of our friends had a childhood very similar to what was in the movie, and so that movie was very different for them. And that's what I'm getting at with this movie. This movie is very different if you share some similarities with Bo.
Right.
So, but anyways, yeah, he's born. It's very traumatic, and then
that sets us off. But
Yeah.
then we immediately jump to him in his 40s. He's middle aged.
Yeah.
And he's a loser. No other way to put it.
Ari Aster goes out of his way to make you feel like a loser because you are in the, you know, the seat with Bo. He's on record saying like, yeah, I wanted everybody to understand what it's like to be a loser.
Right. Well, because he's Joaquin Phoenix's character in this. It's not a strong character. I guess he's more of a cipher or like a stand-in for Ari. It feels like
In a way, yeah.
Yeah. Because this is a deeply personal film for him. Like I don't think any of this happened to him, but I think he can relate to all of this. All of this came out of his head.
You have to have some sort of experience.
Yeah. And if you've seen Hereditary, you know he's got, you know,
mother problems,
complicated relationship with his mother.
Mom. Yeah, 100%.
A big part of it too, though, to me, is I think something that drives Bo in this film a lot is Jewish identity, and they never really name it, but I think it's clear, especially in relation to feelings of guilt and shame. This whole movie is about guilt.
One way to clue in, and I didn't know this. I had to read this, and I think it was a Variety article. I guess it is Jewish custom when somebody dies, they have to be buried the same day.
Yes, and then you sit Shiva.
I did not know that.
Yeah,
and so that's one way.
That's
I guess
why she was humiliated.
Exactly,
that he couldn't get to the
Jared. I didn't know that.
Oh, okay.
So like, I thought that when the lawyer was talking to Bo and making him feel awful
over the phone, right?
I honestly thought, Jared. I honestly thought it was, once again, Bo's anxieties of. Well,
that's amplified.
It's amplified, yeah.
Yes.
But like, I didn't know that it was very important to have her buried the exact same day.
Right.
So, but it's Bo's experience is supposed to be coded in Jewish society and customs.
When he gets to his mother's house,
yes,
for the funeral, as he's walking up, there's a long panning of like the whole front yard,
right?
And to prove like how much of this film is just there's stuff crammed in every scene.
Yeah, are you talking about the three ladies in black?
So there's three ladies cloaked in black that we never get introduced to.
Right.
But that's from the Odyssey, baby. This whole movie is.
Oh yeah, this is the hero's journey. It's a deconstruction of the hero's journey.
Yeah, it's like the hero's journey in reverse.
Yeah.
And if Homer was Oedipus, Oedipus Rex.
Okay.
The king that's obsessed with
fucking his mom.
Yeah,
but he's
killing his uncle, and
But it's not.
That's the Shakespeare play.
Yeah,
Hamlet.
no. Yeah, I was saying that's not. He wasn't obsessed with fucking his mom. It was actually he was obsessed with. Hold on. No. Oedipus was concerned with the prophecy of fucking his own mother.
And because he was so upset, and this happens all the time in Greek mythology, because he was so obsessed with it, he ends up fulfilling it.
Yes.
Yeah.
But he wasn't obsessed with fucking his mom. He was obsessed with the possibility of it happening and trying not to have it happen, but it happened anyways. Are you trying to say that him fucking Elaine in his mother's bedroom is Oedipus fucking his mom? That's
not that.
You know what? That's pretty fucking cool, man. I hadn't considered that.
But also as he's walking up, there's a van that's packing up.
Yeah, and it's like what was the slogan? Shiva's servers, and it was like
Shiva, Shiver, sitting Shiva or something. It's a really fun play on words that I can't
Yeah.
remember. I was trying to look it up to get it right. It's just really funny. But they're packing up all the chairs because when you sit Shiva, like the whole family just sits in a row of chairs, and then all the mourners come up and like apologize to each one. And they're like, "I'm so sorry for your loss," and you just go to each chair
okay.
and you converse with everybody and
Yeah.
eat and stuff. Yeah, that's a Jewish funeral.
I did not know that. It was
Yeah.
very cool. Very
And he was humiliating his mother every day that he did not come home.
every day that you're not at the home, your mother is humiliated. You need to stop making excuses and come home now. Or some
Gosh,
shit.
that phone call, the way
phone
Richard
call was
Kind is talking to him over the phone
rough.
is how every conversation someone with anxiety doesn't want to go but is imagining in their head.
Yeah.
You know?
That took me back to when I worked at Geico.
Oh, yeah.
And you get a mean or somebody who's just really pissed off, and you have to be like, "I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Let me suck your dick. I'm so sorry." You know, that kind of shit.
That's where you went.
Oh, 100%.
At Geico.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, absolutely. I would throw out sexual
You turned
favors.
into MacGruber. You're like, "Let me suck your dick." Or no, the guy from the end of Mandy does that too.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that. That was so good. Anyways, we're bouncing around so much. I want to like.
Oh, and this movie doesn't.
No, trying to hit a point with a dart in this is so hard. But like, so let's talk about the overarching theme of a relationship with an overbearing mother.
Well,
no.
so real fast.
Yes. Oh, or we're not.
We're introduced to Bo
Yes.
in his shitty apartment in the city, and the city we see one from him looking out into the street is a what every Fox News watching person thinks every American city looks like.
Mm-hmm.
This is what they think Chicago is.
Basically, yeah.
And it's just like there are people with guns walking around. There's
birthday suit stab man.
Yeah. There's people running naked, killing each other. There's dead bodies. There's people like just junkies everywhere.
Head to toe tattoos with the eye tattoo guy. Like,
right.
Yeah.
Just unhoused people, like all kinds of, I guess degenerates might be the word.
That's the word that they would use for them.
Yeah, just scary, uncouth people that would terrify you.
And one nice dancing Latino man.
Yeah, who unfortunately
gets killed by birthday suit
ends up getting
stab man.
stabbed. Yeah, I know, because that was the one guy. They're like, oh, he's not threatening at all.
No, he's having a great time. Like, I don't know what part of Bo's anxiety is that guy, but I like.
I think
that
it just
guy.
makes him uncomfortable. Is the thing. Like every single, and I love all of those characters because you see them so often, and they keep showing up later.
Yeah.
Even after they invade his apartment too, the ones that live anyway. Yeah. But Bo is getting ready to go visit his mother. He's talking to his therapist about it. And then a series of events happen one night that make him late and eventually missing his plane to go see his mother. And so he calls and gives her the bad news. And it is that scene where he is on the phone with her is an incredibly long, maybe it's 3-4 minutes, but it felt like
an
30
eternity.
minutes.
Yeah.
It is excruciating, but it's supposed to be. But that was the first time where I was like, oh, this is this movie, huh?
Yeah, where it's just like you're trying to explain something to someone and everything that you say is just not a good excuse. Or something that they don't believe you. They believe that you're just lying to them to get out of something.
And also, Bo is a neurotic,
yes,
anxiety-ridden loser who cannot be definitive or stand up for himself or give, a concise answer to anything. It seems he can't.
He's unable to make decisions for himself. And I know this comes up multiple times in the movie. Every time
especially with his mother.
Yes, every time he's given a point, like a flash point of standing up for himself.
Do you want to do this or this?
Yeah, he freezes and lets somebody else make the decision for him. And in a way, it goes all the way back to this reoccurring dream that he has where he's in a bathtub and he dreams about standing up to his mom and what that entails. And it entails some sort of like punishment where he gets locked into an attic or something.
Because he's watching his brother get punished for standing up to her. And he eventually gets sent up to the attic where she says, we will never talk about you ever again.
And he doesn't realize that that's his brother. He thinks it's himself. For the majority of the movie.
I do think it is a metaphor for the side of him that stood up to his mother.
Yes.
For sure. Because even when he finds him again later in the attic in the movie, there's just no development there. We're instead focused on the giant penis monster
Do we
that
want
is
to talk
his
about
father.
do you want to talk about the cock monster and the
I mean,
symbology behind that?
We should maybe wait 2 hours, but I've already referenced it. So
Okay, so that was a fun one. So I looked away for
the most fantastical part of this movie, perhaps. Yes.
No, it's the literal animated hero's journey.
Yeah, but then
in the
even
middle
he
of the
realizes
movie.
that was in his head.
I know.
The cock monster is implied to be real.
Oh, it's definitely not. So this movie gives you the brain bug from Starship Troopers, except as a giant penis, and
who is said to be his father.
And
that's why he was always told his father died
because he was a
during
giant
conception.
dick monster. But here's the fun one, right? I had this conversation with I was talking about this movie with my wife on our way to pick up our kid, and she made this very poignant, or at least I thought it was poignant, comment on that. It's like, that's all he was a dick. He was just the sperm donor.
Yeah.
He was an absentee father, and so because of that, that's all she has ever considered him. Just this person who dropped his load off and left, and so that's all that remains is a giant cock monster.
Absolutely, that, and also, so his entire life, his mother never wanted him to have sex.
That's
and
right.
So she told him, like, if you ever, like, essentially have sex and orgasm, you're going to die of a heart
You have
attack,
a
just
weak
like
heart,
your father and your grandfather.
And his great-grandfather.
And I think that was part of a way to control him and make sure that he never had sex and never got close with a woman and had a relationship with a woman other than her.
Yes.
And I think by saying, like, your father who had sex was just a giant dick monster is another way of saying, like, well, he had sex to create you and is just a giant monster in the shape of a penis because of it, essentially.
So
there's a lot to say there.
What's the symbology of it stabbing Jeremiah in the head after Jeremiah stabbed? What's the symbolism there? I don't understand that.
Of the dick monster?
No, of Jeremiah stabbing the dick monster and then himself getting stabbed in the head.
Yeah, I haven't thought about that one.
Parse that one?
No.
All right, cool. Moving on.
I mean, you could write a whole book about every 10 minutes of this movie, man.
This is true. This is very true.
Was Jeremiah was the vet,
the veteran who
with PTSD and everything.
PTSD who like constantly thinks that he's always in a fight. So because of that, he not only killed the enemy but also his brothers. But he was there when.
Is it implied that he killed the brother?
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah.
And so like there's some. Okay, hold on. There's a part in this movie where Bo runs out of his apartment, butt-ass naked.
Oh, wait, this is still early on. This is after he finds out that he's missed his flight.
Yes.
And then he gets a phone call that his mother is dead from
right.
Bill Hader
and
as a UPS driver.
And and I wrote down, like, I didn't realize it was Bill Hader, and I wrote down, like, dude, the guy on the phone is delivering. He's doing who is this guy? And
Courtney thought it was Ari Aster, and then later when you see him on TV, we immediately were like, that. You
Bill
only
Hader.
see the back of his head, but we're like, that's Bill Hader, baby.
you can kind of see, like, part of his...
right, he turns on for, like, a split second.
But anyway, so, like, Bo, is obviously traumatized. And
some insane things happen. He has a freak out, and then he's running around the street butt-ass naked.
He had filled a bath up, and the water had overflowed because he was standing there for too long. Then he goes to take a bath, and some guy lands on top of him with a brown recluse, and it's fucking crazy.
It's an insanely good scene too.
Yeah,
because Ari knows how to make a scene visceral and just very engrossing.
Yeah,
and just a scene as simple as like a man. A guy is hovering over him.
The imagery's so good.
Like stuck between the walls are so close together that he's able to push together between them.
Yeah.
But he is crying and sweating and
Why
freaking
is he
out
up there though?
I don't know.
understand
so
how he ended up there.
Earlier, like a bunch of people
there,
from the street wandered into his apartment and took over the apartment, and Bo couldn't spend the night in there, and he thought they all left.
Yeah.
But as he's in the bath, he looks up and sees a guy over him. And the guy is seconds from slipping and falling down on him.
Yes.
And for some reason, Bo is too terrified to get up and run out of the bath.
Well, because he can't make decisions on his own, man.
Well, yes. Yeah. He's always paralyzed by fear and anxiety.
Yes.
Oh, there is a brown recluse spider, which we have seen multiple times throughout the film.
Yeah.
It is a the gun.
Chekhov? No, it's Chekhov.
It is a Chekhov's gun, brown recluse spider.
Chekhov's
There's
brown
also
recluse.
We see the poster in the apartment building warning about the spider just a million
Multiple
times too.
Yeah.
But all of a sudden, it's the guy that's trying not to slip that's hovering over him. Like we see the spider run across his face, and I think it bites him, and he freaks out, and he falls on top of Bo. Yeah. Bo, butt-ass naked, is now tumbling with this guy.
They're
in
both
the bath.
doing the gator death roll.
Yes, that's how I described it to Courtney too.
Yeah.
And they're both trying not to drown while they're just rolling. But Joaquin is, again,
butt-ass
naked.
Yeah.
You also see his humongous balls in this scene.
I actually didn't see him. I was looking. I not to sound weird or sus or anything, but like
I know you clocked it later.
Oh, yeah.
Because you yelled in the theater.
wait. Oh, hold on. We gotta talk about the theater experience. Wait, so we get the four of us, me, you, our wives, are in the theater, and we think that we're by ourselves, and we're having a hoot and holler with all the
we're not being
trailers.
too loud, but
No.
we're definitely talking in a way that we wouldn't if other people were in the theater.
Yeah, and then like I for whatever reason I turned my head around and like, oh, there's 2 more people in this fucking theater, right? Fuck. Those people are going to come up later on, but we did have 2 other people in the theater. It was the 6 of us, and we'll come back to that in just a moment. But I was definitely looking at his ass crack, trying to see are they really going to show us Joaquin Phoenix's dick?
He was probably wearing a cock sleeve or whatever they call it. But he does have. I'm certain he has prosthetic balls in this film.
He has to have prosthetic balls. There's no way his nuts are that huge.
And I think the joke is that they're so big because he's never ejaculated.
He's never ejaculated.
before.
Even Nathan Lane's character, Timon, is like, "Hey, you're after."
Hold
on. So he has the.
We are going to work through this as best we can.
He has the naked death roll battle. Runs out of his apartment. Runs in the street, and then birthday suit stab man. Comes up and starts stabbing, chasing after him, and then he gets hit by a
first
vehicle.
he begs a police officer for help.
Oh, that's right!
The police officer is clearly flirting with a sex worker.
Yeah.
But then, because Joaquin is yelling for help, the cop pulls his gun on him, and it's very clear that the cop is about to shoot him.
Oh, yeah.
And he's like, please don't make me do this. And so Joaquin just decides, you know what? I'm just going to run away. And then he gets hit by a car.
Yes.
And then he wakes up in a teenage girl's bedroom.
Second point of anxiety, I have had that fear with talking to cops. Anytime I get pulled over, I think this is going to be the end. I'm going to get shot. To the point where one time a cop, after he stopped me, he was like, I'm not going to get you a ticket, but I need you to calm down because you being nervous makes me nervous.
Damn.
And he was very nice.
Yeah.
I can't remember his name. If you're listening, I love you. Thank you for not shooting me. Anyway, sorry. So he wakes up in a teenage girl's.
Hang on, I'm sorry.
Oh shit. Okay.
I want to go back to this.
Okay.
Have you ever had a cop draw his gun on you?
No, thankfully, because Jared, no way.
This has nothing to do with this movie,
brother. What was that like?
Okay, it was terrifying.
Yeah, I can only imagine.
Was 19 or 20.
Jared, what the fuck were you doing?
Yeah, I don't think you know this story.
I don't. Is this staying in?
I don't know if I should. I'll decide later.
Okay.
So, I was living with my parents because I was pretty sure I was 19.
Yeah.
And but they weren't home.
Yeah.
And my buddy, I shouldn't use any real names in this.
Yeah.
A friend of mine.
Yes.
And his brother came over, and a friend of his, and he is a gun enthusiast, owns lots of guns. He also went on to become a law enforcement officer, so there was nothing untoward about this. All the guns were legally owned and so forth.
Yeah.
But he brought over some guns. My parents own a large plot of land, so it was like, hey, let's go shooting in the backyard.
Sure, yeah.
Whatever, it's fine. People do it all the time out there, 'cause it's just a lot of, uninhabited land. And so we go out to the creek, my parents' property, and are shooting
cans or whatever.
A shotgun, one pistol, and a Mosin Nagant, which is a Russian sniper rifle.
Okay.
Very loud. And then we're wearing ear protection.
Yeah.
But then at one point I've taken my ear protection off for some reason. I don't know if I was just checking it or I thought I heard something. And I realized there's someone yelling at us. And it's a police officer from a neighbor's yard. A pretty ways away, but I realized I was hearing it, and I take off my ear protection, and I get my friend's attention, and I go, hey, someone's shouting at us, and I realize they're shouting,
drop your weapons.
Polk County Sheriff's Department, put the weapons down and step forward, and we're like, what the fuck?
Holy shit, dude.
And there are 2 cops, and they're terrified. We could tell. They also have ballistic shields up.
Oh my god!
And their guns drawn. And and we see them really far away, but the first thing we see is the shield because it's a humongous plastic looking thing. And so we start making sure I think one of the other guys was shooting, so they laid down the gun and we were like what do we do? And they're like yelling at us to walk over to them, and they're on like a part of property that was like not easily accessible. Like
Right.
we're on a creek, so
Yeah.
it's already weird terrain to traverse.
You got like a bunch of trees and shit.
Right, and
Yeah.
lots of vegetation that's uncleared.
Yeah.
And where they're shouting from is like a neighbor's yard that like, you know, you can't just like walk over to. And so we just like figure it out. Like we cross the creek and start like very carefully walking through the vegetation while their guns are drawn on us. It was so weird. And then when we get over to them, they don't make us get on the ground or anything, thankfully. But they do check all of our ID. Well, yeah, everybody involved in the story was white to give you an idea of the privilege happening here. Because, yeah, we may not have been alive if not. But we hand over our IDs and they run all of our driver's licenses and everything. And, you know, and they go, you know, your neighbors called in a noise complaint and we just heard a bunch of shooting when we got here and we didn't know what the fuck was going on. And I was
Yeah,
like, well,
rightfully
it's
so.
unincorporated Polk County, people were always shooting out here. I figured it'd be fine, but of course, the one time I do it, the cops come and bring the SWAT gear for us.
Holy fuck, dude! I would have pissed my pants. I probably would have died of a heart attack.
It sucked. But
Yeah, I bet.
you just freeze up and just like, okay, what is the thing I'm supposed to do here to not die
Yeah,
or
how-
go to
how-
jail?
how
I was
do
more
I-
worried about I was going to go to jail, not die, I guess. But
How do I do the Simon Says of no dying?
yeah, luckily they weren't so scared or confused that they were shouting like conflicting information at
Yeah,
us.
yeah. God damn. Okay, well
That's the scariest experience I've ever had with police.
Fuck.
Yeah.
Jesus fucking Christ.
Yeah,
Anyways,
it sucked.
God damn. Anyways, Bo wakes up in a teenage girl's fucking bed. Holy shit.
Okay, so her bedroom is there's so much fun stuff to look at because
it's so good.
All of the posters.
Are any of those bands real?
No, it's all
Okay.
fake. So one of them is like a K-pop band, and it's called KISS, but KI 55.
yeah.
And it's like, we are 55 boys that love you or something is
That's
what it
right.
says.
And
it's
it's
so
like,
good.
and it's a huge poster of a bunch of dudes.
It's just a bunch of avatars of different guys.
So fucking good. But anyway, so
it's a very convincing like teenage girl's room, but yeah,
Yeah.
it's all artifice. It's all
but we're introduced to Holly from The Office. I don't remember her name.
Yeah.
And then Nathan Lane, Timon.
Yes.
The guy from what was it? Birdcage. Bird.
Oh yeah, he's in that too.
Yeah,
He's in everything.
I love that movie.
Fun story. I get Nathan Lane and Richard Kind confused all the time, and
Rightfully,
they're both
yeah.
in this movie as
Yeah.
completely different characters. But
Yeah. But we find out that Deborah. Wait, hold on. What was her name?
the mother or
The mother,
sister?
Holly. What's her actress name?
Actress's
Patty.
name.
Patty. So we find out that Patty is like a business lady. She's on the board of directors for some company, and Nathan Lane is a surgeon. And Nathan, like these people are the ones that hit Bo and brought him home
Taken
and put
him in and been
put
taking
an
care of him.
ankle monitor on him, and they're taking
Well,
care of him.
they say it's a medical device, but we later learn it's
all,
a tracker.
no, we all know that's a fucking ankle monitor. Like that, I was like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah.
You know? And we find out that they had a son who was in the service who died, and they're very obviously obsessed with
What was
loss.
the war he died into?
In Caracas? I don't know, dude.
I meant to look
I don't even
that
know what the
up.
fuck. Well, so it's actually funny. Every location is fake. Like
Yeah.
the city that he lives in is fake.
Yeah.
Washington is obviously fake. It's a play on words for their last name. Like
I don't think Caracas is a real place.
I don't
It's
think
a
it is either.
Turkish surname.
Yeah. So
So it's supposed to sound like the Middle East.
yes, yeah. And so yeah, we find out he like their son is dead. They're very distraught about it, rightfully so.
His bedroom has been untouched
Yes.
since he died.
They have a puzzle of him.
Oh, there's like a little shrine to him.
Yeah.
The wife is clearly still hung up about it.
Yes.
And then we find out that instead of simply putting him in, the deceased son's bedroom, they have put him in their daughter's bedroom, who is still alive and living with them.
Yeah, Tony.
And we later meet her and she's furious about it.
Yeah, she's like unhinged too, and
She's
then,
a terrifying teenage girl who clearly has a lot of problems stemming from her parents.
yeah.
But she is so scary that there's a scene where she convinces Bo to get in the car with her because she's
Yeah.
going to take him to his mother's funeral, like he's been asking.
Yeah.
But then makes him smoke a joint that's laced with like 3 other drugs.
And they're recording him too.
Yes.
Which also played into the part where Patty slides a note to Bo, stop incriminating yourself. You find out like the house is on CCTV.
Yeah, she tells him to turn on the TV and turn it to a certain channel, and then he realizes it's being recorded by a camera in the room, and then he starts to hit fast forward and
you
realizes
see bits and pieces of the
future
movie.
scenes from the movie, which was such a good bit. Because every time you would start to see the scene that he saw on TV later, I was like, oh fuck, that was on the TV too. It's great.
And that's when I was like, okay, they're doing a Truman Show thing, but you know, like there's just so much there. And then they also have Jeremiah, some guy that served with their son, who was like there when his son died, but clearly that guy's also unhinged. And you know what's funny is you brought up, oh, maybe he did it. Maybe they have him there and constantly sedated as punishment for killing their the kid. Like there's like a sinister thing there too.
Yeah.
But Tony driving around, making him smoke drugs with her friend,
and it was all a trick just to get him to smoke. She wasn't actually going to take him to the funeral, and so she just brings him back to the house.
But once again, more evidence and stuff, and like, you know, that might be the giving into peer pressure sort of thing, which I actually think comes back to later on in the movie when we find out that he let some of his friends when he was 15 steal his mom's panties.
Oh yeah,
it's like a very similar thing in a way.
Yeah.
But yeah, at some point, Tony convinces Bo to break into the brother's room with paint to paint up the room.
Yeah.
And, you know, so...
Because she wants to lash out and destroy the room.
And she's on a bunch of pills. She's like getting a bunch... Like, everybody's taking pills in this house. That's so...
They're all overly medicated.
Yeah, I don't understand this whole thing, but...
It's a WASP thing.
Well, hold on. Well, I wouldn't fucking know. But,
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, but... they destroy the room, and Tony is like, okay, either you paint this room or you get fucked up with me, and then we go, you know, to your mom's funeral or whatever. And like when she's saying like get fucked up with me, I assume it's with drugs, but it's paint. She wants to drink paint with Bo, make Bo drink the paint first, and then she drinks the paint. And clearly he's not going to do it. He's not going to, you know, end his life. And then Tony's like, she drops the F slur, and
that's right.
And which 2023, that wow, it's making a comeback.
She's terrifying.
Yes, and then she drinks paint and fucking dies.
It's horrible.
I don't understand the aspect of this family, and to like, you know, to spoil the ending, we kind of come to this conclusion that. Everybody that Bo has interacted with is on the payroll of his mother.
Everything's being orchestrated by his mother, yeah.
You know, for this grand jury thing at the end, right? So if we are to apply the idea that his mom controls everything, then what is it about this family? Are they putting on airs? Is this like a fake thing just so that they can like give him an idea of the reason why he's here? Or like what is this part of the movie trying to tell the viewers? I don't understand it. I don't understand the whole family aspect.
It's a few things, I think. To give my interpretation.
Yeah.
So number one, we are told essentially that Nathan Lane and his wife are actors, or sorry, are acting as paid actors for Bo's mother.
Mm-hmm.
They are actually employees of the MW company. But I think this scene serves to, one, show that...
Not the scene. Just this arc.
Okay, this arc...
Because there's like 4 arcs in this movie.
Right. Is showing like this is a family that lost their son. And how their whole lives revolve around it still. On the other hand, Tony was not an actor. She's not acting.
No. Yeah.
I think her and Jeremiah
are
the wild cards in that equation for his mother.
Right.
Because they are constantly upsetting
the dynamic
that she was trying to set up for him.
Yes.
Because they end up pushing him away too. Man, Tony, I can see what her eyes look like after she drinks the paint. It was so sad.
It was disgusting, but really cool.
I think that's one way to interpret it though. But they are, I think the thing with the son was real, at least in the, you know, in the movies timeline. But and it was just, and they were trying to take in Bo so quickly. That's what really set off Tony. She was already having issues with him, obviously.
Yeah.
And felt ignored and unwanted because of their, you know, obsession with the son who was now deceased. I think that's part of it. You know, like this is a family obsessed with their son, even in passing, and how he took precedence in their lives and how he's, you know, served everything that they did. I think that's one way to look at it. What else about it?
Oh,
upset you?
I mean, that was it. That's what I was trying to like understand is what was the purpose of this part of the movie, because there are 4 arcs and this is the second arc, and I didn't like understand it other than the part where Tony chooses to take her life. Yes. Tony is the antithesis of Bo, where Bo is unassuming and afraid of everything. Tony is completely fearless to the point of self-destruction, and her killing herself does feel like the last act of control over her own life,
right?
That she has clearly lost the handle of,
absolutely,
because of her parents' actions.
Yeah.
So like that, I get that one part of the of this bit. I get the rest of it, how it gets set up. I was like really lost. And like I understand like kind of what was going on, but I didn't understand the purpose of it, you know. And then also real quick, were any of the posters in Nathan's room real? Because for the bands,
I'm sure they were all created.
Not Dance Gavin Dance.
Oh, okay.
There was a Dance Gavin Dance poster in one scene, and both me and Haley looked at each other and were like, "What the fuck? That's kind of crazy." Like, does Ari like them? Maybe.
Yeah.
But you know, that's why I was like, I wonder if any of the K-pop ones were real stuff. Obviously, KI-55 definitely wasn't, but any of the other ones. But anyways, Tony dies. Holly from The Office. I'm so sorry, I can't remember her fucking name.
I don't either. But Jeremiah, who Tony has been, we're not exactly told what's happening, but we are assuming that every time Tony gets upset at Bo, she goes and
fucks with Jeremiah.
Tells Jeremiah like, "Hey, Bo is like fucking with me" or something.
Yeah.
And Jeremiah just looks incensed and ready to kill him.
Yep.
And now that Jeremiah sees that Tony is dead, he lunges.
The mom tells Jeremiah to
she even calls him in and sicks him on.
Yeah,
Bo,
she says, "Jeremiah, eviscerate him" or some shit. And then it's a really cool scene.
And then he takes off in the woods.
Yep. And then gets knocked out, and we have our third arc.
And then he wakes up and runs into a woman, a pregnant woman that is collecting firewood, and she takes him in and introduces him to her traveling theater troupe
of all orphans.
I missed that.
They're all orphans, all of them. They're the orphans of the woods.
I ran into the bathroom during that scene.
Oh, that's right.
And when I came back, he changed out of his pajamas, and he was in like a really nice like working shirt.
So the thing about that was, or the reason that was given was that they want to have all of the people who are watching the play immersed in it, like feel like they're a part of it.
So they're wearing period specific clothes to match the show.
And also, I think you missed, I'm almost positive that Ari Aster had a small cameo in this part of the movie.
Yes.
There's one person in a suit and he's in the background, but you can hear him talking and he goes, "Why am I here? Like, what am I doing?" And that's it. Yeah. And, you know, he's a skinnier guy. I've seen like Ari Aster's face, but he had a shaved head at the time.
Yeah.
And in the movie, he's got, you know, kind of dark curly hair. So I don't know what his hair pattern is, but
does he kind of look like Charlie Kaufman? And he's got like a little bit of hair up here.
Yeah. And then we have one of the wildest parts that I thought this was the most wild part of the movie, not the dick monster. Although the dick monster was
the most entertaining. I don't think it's the most wild. I think it's the most entertaining and memorable.
Why?
Christ.
Oh, because it wasn't an anxiety fest. Is that why you're saying that?
No, it was just engrossing.
Oh, okay.
It was so like on so many artistic levels.
Yeah.
So there's a fantasy sequence where Bo is so transfixed by the play that, I mean, all of a sudden the actor on stage turns around and all of a sudden it's Bo, and it is so the next 15-20 minutes are just the most engrossing.
I had no idea how long it was. It felt like a completely different movie, and it was all like
it was almost a short film into itself.
Yeah, and all of the animations looked like they were like hand painted. Like it was awesome.
So Ari brought in 2 Chilean directors.
Oh, no way.
Who had made animated films that he really enjoyed to work on these scenes.
All waters raise all ships, or whatever I said the last time.
And so they collaborated for a really long time on that scene, and it's such a special scene. Like I had heard about it beforehand, and I heard that it's particularly good in IMAX.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, there were no IMAX screenings.
Not in Florida.
I think within an hour's drive for us.
There's no way.
But yeah, that I had heard about the scene, and it lived up to it. It was incredible.
It was really good.
I was transfixed by it.
Yeah, same here. But I also like. I remember towards the end of it, I was like, "Holy shit! How long is this gonna go? Like, this is a total another movie."
Yeah.
And the gist of it is it is literally the hero's journey.
Yeah.
Like, but it's like him. Haley said it was like this was the life he could have had if his mother wasn't overbearing. Is the way that she interpreted
That,
it.
or it is just a standard tale of a Western male, essentially.
Okay. So I'm glad you said that, because you want to know how I interpreted it. It's the ultimate incel fantasy. It's literally the life promised by society.
I agree with you there, and that thought did enter my head. Where
Okay.
This is like what so many of these like return guys.
Look at what they took from
promised
you.
to them in a
Yep.
sort of sense, excluding the whole like a great flood coming and washing your family away.
Well, yeah, because that's like that. At a certain point, it stopped being the like, look at what they took from you. We have to turn back.
Right.
Which way, Western man? And turn into like, okay, this is finally a story that's taking place, but all the stuff up to the point where he loses his family was very like, I'm sitting there, I'm like, Jesus Christ, Ari is going online and reading people's fucking musings about their loneliness.
Right.
But this is something that I think a lonely person would dream up, or there's a
1000%.
fantasy that they would want.
And if they saw this performed in art, they would relate to it and think, "Oh, this is such a personal thing." But in reality, it's a very vague and like trope, kind of play. But it's so effective.
The one part of the storytelling where it's like, you will marry your wife and sometimes she'll look like a man to you. The way that I interpreted that was like a lot of these incels and crazy, lunatics on the internet like have a fixation with transgendered people, where they see, transgendered people all over the place,
right?
But they also like want to be with one, or maybe want to become one,
right?
Sort of thing. I thought like it was really on the nose. Ari's like whole messaging in this part of the movie said some weird shit to me, and I think
it
it's just
should be
because
interpreted in a lot of ways.
I'm terminally online, as well, so I see a lot of the worst of society. I do touch grass oftentimes. I am married and I do have a kid, so like I'm not always on the internet, but there are certain aspects of society that I do have an interest in like viewing, because I do like internet culture, and that whole thing, like, it was just like, holy fuck, I'm seeing so much weird shit.
Yeah,
like all of these things are coming into my head. And I want to say also, Jared, I'm pretty sure this was the point where the two people that were not in our party got up and left.
Yes, because at some point we realized we were alone in the theater.
Well, we're getting to that point because we're getting to the mother's funeral. Because like after he gets snapped out of the play, and
he realizes he is just sitting in the audience. He thinks he is living this entire life.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, he is old and is near death, and has finally found his 3 adult sons.
His
that
beautiful,
he's lost.
sweet boys.
And he spends a good long
3
time
minutes, 3 or 4 minutes,
hugging and crying with all of them. And it's very, like, I was tearing up. Like, I got choked up by that scene because Joaquin is such a good actor.
Oh, they were all selling it, but which I was taken out of it a little bit because he was like, Joaquin was selling it so hard that he was like kissing their faces and stuff. And I'm
right.
I don't know if these guys signed up for that.
Well, and I think there were some lines from some of the kids.
Oh, they were not that delivered well.
No, and one of the kids was Tony Soprano's son.
Yeah, some of the 2 lines were delivered.
Some of the lines were not great. Terrible. They felt like they were like bad actors in a play. Maybe that was the point too.
That's the point, though.
Because he's in a play in his mind.
Yes, that's it. Dude, the levels are going fucking crazy over there. Anyways, but I think that was the point. But anyways, he has a tender moment with this pregnant lady where he gives a gift to her, and
he hands over the Madonna statue that
and it was meant for his mother.
Yeah,
and that's gonna come up later. But then some dude that's been kind of hinted at throughout the movie,
he keeps showing up. He's kind of hovering in the background watching Bo.
Yeah, and he comes up and he's like, "I know your dad. Your dad's not dead," or something else to that effect. To the point where,
and then he starts saying like, "It is so good to see you again." And then Bo goes, "Wait, are you my dad?"
and then he gets blown up by a fucking hand grenade.
So then but then the guy realizes something's wrong.
Yeah,
and then some of
yeah.
the actors see something off stage.
Yeah.
So what happens here? Because it was so jarring.
Okay. So Jeremiah shows up. He throws the throwing knife at the main guy. Oh, what?
No. Before that, something happens, and then the actors on stage react to something happening off screen, like off stage.
Yeah, it's Jeremiah. They hear him.
But what did he do? Did he yell out something?
No. So they hear the beeping of the tracker Jeremiah
That's right.
has, and that kind of throws the guy off because he's like delivering lines. But
that's
the
why he
beeping is
stops
getting
and looks off
closer.
stage,
Yeah,
and then a knife gets thrown into
at
him.
And then
he starts shooting the people, and then he blows up the dad with a grenade or
is
something.
Is that his dad? Who is that?
Who's to say?
Yeah, who is that guy?
As you could say with anything, who's to say?
That's true. But yeah,
In
the
this
guy gets blown up with a fucking grenade.
Yeah, he tells him to run as he's blowing up.
Yes.
And then Jeremiah comes storming out of the woods, shooting everybody.
And he does not take his finger off that trigger at all.
No, I thought he was duct taped his hand to the gun, to be honest with you.
And he like even to the point where like he shoots through his own shoulder.
He falls on his gun and is shooting through his shoulder, and he shoots the guy behind him that knocked him over.
Fucking silly. You know what's really funny? I read a review. This is actually the review that I read on the AV Club, and I know for a fact the person did not watch this fucking movie, or they AI generated it because it was like his neighbor is chasing him down. Jeremiah is not his fucking neighbor.
What the fuck?
Yeah, they definitely like put in some fucking prompts to have that article written. I see you, AV Club.
Like my Elysium.
Yes, exactly. That's what I thought about
yeah.
when I was watching the movie. I was like, some of these were in the article, but some of these aren't, or it's wrong. And you know, if anybody actually watches the movie, which not a lot of people are going to watch this movie, they would know the difference. But anyways, Bo has a freak out.
Wait, the only neighbor of his that you ever see is that guy in the hallway that goes, "You're fucked."
Yeah, and that's not Jeremiah.
No.
So anyways, he runs away. He hits his head again, and we get arc number 4. This is the final arc.
Yeah, he wakes up, hitches a ride with
some guy
in a
business
car,
guy.
gets dropped off at his mom's house finally.
In Wasserton.
And yes, named after his mother, presumably.
Yes, I believe
because her last name is
Wasserman.
Wasserman, yeah. And he walks up to her incredible mid-century modern house.
We didn't even talk about like the flashback on the cruise ship that like kind of intimates that Elaine was not a paid part of the thing. Oh, do you think she is? Do you think that the mother orchestrated her getting taken off the thing and writing on the photo, "Save yourself for me," so that he does in fact save himself for her?
I'm ambivalent about how much of that was his mom, but I definitely think her being taken off the boat was his mom.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
I wonder if the whole interaction though was set up by her.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
Because I'm still mulling that over in my head. Because the whole interaction could have been set up by her as like a temptation thing.
Oh yeah, maybe. I don't know. There's a scene in the movie where we go back to like 15-year-old Bo, and he meets a girl, and they're like very into each other. But it's neat to watch her look at something and then him look at or explain what he sees. There's like a fountain, a chocolate fountain, and he thinks it's like liquid diarrhea, and there's even flies in it in his vision, but not hers. So you get like a peek into his mind.
Right. Because we realize everything is amplified to be worse from what he sees because of his anxieties.
Yeah. And there's like scenes where he's in bed with his mom that are like very almost sexual in a way. Like she's like laying on her side.
Like it's straight out of a tale of Oedipus.
Oedipus, yeah. But once again, I don't live with the idea that Oedipus wants to fuck his mom. He's trying not to fuck his mom, but
that's the allegory of the story.
I understand, but like it's different. It's different. Anyways, he gets a crush. She's taken off the ship.
So, but very importantly, him and his mother share a bed.
Yeah, they share a bed.
Very, very off-putting. And
especially because she's like rich enough to definitely afford a room that doesn't.
They're on a
have
luxury
2 beds.
cruise.
Yeah,
and she keeps implying that she's going to go to bed early so that he can leave, but she is saying it in a very seductive way. And it was, it was so gross.
Yeah,
my skin was crawling.
Definitely gave me like weird vibes.
Yeah.
But anyways, so he gets to his mom's house. We see, other signifiers to let the audience know that this is I guess like a Jewish tale because of the Shiva catering service and the 3 wailing ladies.
Well, that's from the Odyssey.
Whatever, dude. Anyways, so we get in and you start seeing like more stuff that like either is placed there to make him feel guilty or is just there in his mind. Case in point, the part where the chandelier lands on her head. There's an indentation on the floor with a fucking marker. That's
a plaque memorializing the incident.
They have an open casket where the body is missing a head. And weirdly, one of the hands has a red mark on it, which we've seen the mom's hands. So that's like a clue into something. And then, Bo starts seeing like different photos from his life, including a photo from when he was inside the house of the two weirdos who lost their son recently.
It's a clue that his mom has been orchestrating this whole thing.
Yeah, and then you get the cool thing where you see how her company was built and how many pots they have their hands in.
Yeah, it's a multinational conglomerate that creates
food,
all sorts of things. Yeah. Meals, medical supplies,
housing.
Low-income
housing.
That's right.
Yeah, so we find
basically
out
every stage of Bo's life that he needed a product, like that company got into that space, and made that product or sold that product.
Yeah, so like the apartment that he lives in is owned by his mom. The food that he was eating earlier owned by his mom.
Yep.
A lot of the advertisements in the background, his mom. That was the point when I noticed the WM thing, but you had noticed it way earlier, or MW, whatever.
I called it like halfway through the movie, and you looked at me and you're like, "What?" And then later, when the mom shows up, you were like, "How the fuck did you know?"
Yeah. So it was, cause this was, it was right when, Bo was having sex with Elaine, who just shows back up. Right, they're like
shows up to the funeral to show her respects, and then her and Bo end up sleeping together.
Yeah,
in his mom's bed.
It like after. What was like right before we find out that his mom is still alive, and you made that.
Was that when comment. I called it to you?
Yeah, because I the reason why I knew that was the moment is because I remember Parker Posey gets on top of Joaquin Phoenix and you see Joaquin Phoenix's giant nuts, and I remember like making a comment and then looking behind me, and that was when I noticed that the two people had since left.
We were alone, yeah.
Yeah, and then I'm like, okay, guys, we're alone. What the fuck is going on? And that's when you were like, oh, his mom's orchestrating all this stuff while she's going to be alive. And then she fucking comes around the corner and it's wild. But anyways, back to the sex scene. Parker Posey is like riding Joaquin Phoenix, and
he's to this point okay with it and just going kind of along with her.
But then
he realizes he's about to climax and he's begging her to stop.
Yes. And then he nuts. He nuts, and she says, and I quote, "Wow, you really blew through the bag." Like he came so hard that
I forgot
the condom busted, because like this is 40 years of cum that has been sitting in those giant distended balls for forever, and he finally nuts, but he stays hard enough to where she also gets off, which let me tell you, that's probably never happened on your first time ever.
And then she finishes and we realize she's died.
But yeah, he throws her corpse off of him, and she's like stuck to the point where like, was she even real? It doesn't make any sense.
She's already in rigor mortis. Yeah.
Yeah. It's
because she's carried off by some employees
in the exact same position. Yeah. And whomever made the Parker Posey or Posey Parker, one of those is a transphobe, one of those is an actress.
I always,
get those two mixed up.
Yeah. Because I kept thinking, wait, is that the one that's like super transphobic on Twitter and stuff?
No. Yeah. But whomever, like somebody made a full body cast of Elaine butt fucking naked in that position. They fucking pick her up and carry her out. But Bo's mom is alive. He freaks out, has a wild panic attack. And then, all of the pieces start falling into place. You find out that his therapist has been working for her the entire time and has been giving her all audio logs of him
and
talking
they
about
just
her,
start playing
them.
His like intimate like sessions over the speakers of the house, and it's like it's humiliating and traumatizing for him, and he's just so upset. He's like, how could you do this? And it's not even like, it's not incriminating evidence. It's really like a normal like therapy session where someone is talking about like their relationship with their mother, it sounds like. But because she is such a vindictive, like, and everything is an affront to her that he does, like, she is just like, this is evidence of you being a terrible son and everything.
Yeah, well, and like I do know that some parents see their kids at getting therapy as an affront, like, what did I do wrong?
Right, it's an attack on them. Yeah.
What can't you say to me that you can say to some stranger?
Of their training and raising of them. Yeah,
exactly. So I mean, like, yeah, if she did catch wind that he was seeing a therapist, of course she was going to buy him. And like, even I remember that's like the second scene of the movie after he gets born is talking to his therapist.
Yeah.
And I recognized that something was recording him in that first scene. There's a scene where you see his therapist from the profile, and on his desk there's a flashing red light and a thing. And I was like, that's really weird. He's being recorded.
See, I think there's so much stuff in this movie.
There's a ton.
Repeat viewings, you will catch things.
But like, damn, you have to sit through
buried
this
in there
3-hour-long slog.
It's a long movie.
Yeah, but anyway, so we finally get the reveal of what's in the attic. It's the dick monster.
Oh yeah, she throws him in the attic, and you see his twin brother, who's like, looks like Tom Hanks in Castaway at this point. And then
River Phoenix.
Ooh, we can't.
And I didn't
go there.
Yeah. Anyways, but yeah, we see that.
We see his brother in the attic, who's got like a long hair and beard.
Yeah.
And then we pan over, and there is a giant dick monster.
It is huge. It's a 10-foot cock with fucking scything talons.
Yeah. And all of a sudden, as it's roaring up and like, roar, Jeremiah comes busting through the window.
Duel of Fate starts playing.
He throws a
throwing knife at Bo, but
which just knocks him out.
Hits him in the head, yeah.
And then Jeremiah just starts attacking the dick monster and shooting it and stabbing it. And the dick monster just shoves one of its like
scything talons,
spike arms into its head and kills Jeremiah.
Very Starship Troopers.
Yeah, it felt like the brain monster scene in Starship Troopers.
Yeah. And then Bo gets out of the attic.
He falls down the stairs.
His mom does this awesome...
do you see? That's what I was hiding from you.
An excellent monologue, not of just that, but also like an indictment of Bo's inability to make decisions for himself.
Yep, just rails into him, really lets him have it.
And once again, Ari Aster gets an excellent performance out of an older woman, much like Toni Collette. It's fucking fantastic.
I mean, I don't even think you have to qualify it with, you know, a woman.
Well, I mean, he gets awesome performances out of all of the performance that he has.
Right.
But what I'm getting at is like it just reminded me so much of Toni Collette at the table railing against her son. It's just like Ari must have been, his mom must have said some shit to him growing up.
I think in Midsommar we also get a little bit of that with
Florence Pugh.
Yeah, Florence Pugh has some great monologues.
Oh yeah.
Too, right? Just the ending scene of her crying into the camera, but then turning to laughter.
Yes.
I mean, god damn.
Brilliant. He's so fucking good.
But anyway, yeah, so his mother really lets him have it in a, you know, what could be an Oscar-winning scene.
An excellent scene.
Yeah.
And like...
And Bo is incensed.
Yeah.
He chokes her. Just starts choking her to death and then stops himself last minute, and then she...
falls into like a terrarium.
Falls into a glass terrarium that when I saw it in the background, I was like, well, someone's going to go
Oh yeah,
through
that's Chekhov's
There's
terrarium.
lots of Chekhov's guns in this. Yeah. And so he just walks away, gets into a little motorboat, and just starts riding off into the sea.
And then we get the Truman Show.
And I'm expecting credits to roll.
Yeah, same.
And then suddenly his boat is stopped and frozen in place. And suddenly a auditorium is revealed around him, filled with thousands of people watching, and projectors show up from around him, and over his head is a giant movie screen of his entire life.
Yep.
And every act
he's ever done,
everything he's ever committed, you know, against his mother. He's now on trial from his mother's lawyer and his defense attorney, who I could not pick up who it was because they never show him smaller than, you know.
Yeah, he's itty bitty, and he's from 1-800 Defense with a
Yes, I'm
C.
glad you saw that too. I was gonna say you can clearly see that he's just hired from 1-800 Defense Attorney, but defense is spelled wrong.
Yeah, because they couldn't afford the
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
And also he doesn't have a mic, but the other team does.
Right,
Like,
so you can barely hear the defense attorney like shouting over Richard Kine's accusations, and I mean it's I'm describing this for someone who hasn't seen it, but it's clearly looks like a movie theater. Like it is a movie theater through and through. Like if you turn around in the theater, it looks exactly like it does on screen because there is a projection in the rear. And then there are just thousands of people seated looking forward at the giant screen.
Yeah.
But what's happening here is everything that Bo has ever done in his life that could be perceived as an
affront to
slight,
his mother.
against his mother is then shown and said, like, look at how horrible of a person Bo is and all of these things that he's done to his mother.
And he had reasons, and he tried.
And he's sitting there like blubbering and trying to excuse it,
or defend himself,
as he goes. But then he is found guilty and sentenced to death, and then his boat motor explodes and the boat flips over and he drowns as the boat slowly rocks.
Did they sentence him to death, or
he was found guilty?
Yeah, he was found guilty.
I don't know that
but
they
didn't
sentenced
do a
him. They
sentence.
found him guilty.
I took the flipping of the boat as an action he chose because he realized he was stuck there, and the only way to be free from all of the shame and stuff was to intentionally flip the boat and kill himself, take control of his life, much like Tony did in the second act of the film.
You think it was an act of suicide?
I do. But better to finally take control of your life and be rid of it. Now, after saying all of this stuff, all this fantastical shit,
well, as the boat flips over and he drowns.
Oh yeah, it
just says written and directed by Ari Aster, and I couldn't help but laugh.
And the credits roll while he's fucking dying. Yeah.
No, he has already died. He's finally drowned. The boat stops rocking.
I thought the boat was rocking still while people were leaving, and then
I thought it had completed its rock, signifying that he's fully drowned now. And then it says written and directed.
I can't
by Ari
remember,
Aster.
but it was definitely it was clever.
Yeah,
yeah.
And then as people are filing out of the auditorium in the movie, obviously people are filing out of the auditorium in droves. In
Except
whatever
for us.
theater it's playing. Well, I wanted to sit through the entire credits, but I know you don't have patience for that sort of stuff.
I couldn't do it, dude.
I also think an usher came in to get us out of there.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. We're credits are rolling and shit, and I turned around and an usher peeked their head in.
Yeah.
And I was like, we're leaving soon. The movie's over. It's okay. And then they left. They fucked off. They're like, oh, these fucking weirdos are watching this stupid movie.
I think there were 2 people working in that entire theater as well.
Oh yeah.
It felt abandoned.
Well, we did see it in an abandoned mall.
Yeah.
But anyways, so one thing that I wanted to say with all this fantastical shit going on, I personally thought that either Bo never made it out of the city, he got hit by that car and that killed him, or he's in the hospital and he's under a coma or whatever, or he never left his apartment, and everything that you see is side effects of that cool hip new drug Zypercol that he took without water, which he was supposed to take with water. So the rest of it is fantasy in a way, and it was supposed to be different reflections of his life or things that could have happened, because there's there's no way a person has so much money that they can control every aspect of a person's life.
That's the fantastical part you think was unrealistic in the movie?
Well, I mean, obviously the depictions of all of his anxieties is fantastical, but that we're supposed to see the world through his lens. I just there's no way somebody fucking faked their death and hired all these fucking people, man. It doesn't make any I don't believe it.
I think you're looking at this movie like it's a puzzle to be solved.
And I know it's not.
It's not.
Yeah, I've read so many articles where it's if you get hung up on any details,
you're going
to drive yourself crazy. But Jared,
it is to be it's like a dream.
Yeah, I have to make reasoning of some of this stuff.
Can't.
There's allegory, there's symbolism.
No, it's 1000% that, but you cannot say, oh, well, it was all in his head, or oh, it was all after this part, none of it was real.
Okay, hold on. I got a better one for you.
Okay.
So because MW was one of the producers of the movie, this is actually a dramatic retelling and the final shame on Bo Wasserman.
Yeah.
Because his mother made this movie.
Beau Was Afraid 2 will be him walking out of the theater having seen Beau Was Afraid and going, Mom, God,
what the
damn
fuck?
it."
Yeah, and then he tries to like lead a normal life, and there's no fantastical parts of it at all. You actually get to see his like apartment. It's normal.
Right. His meds are working. He found water to take with them.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think you're coming at this like it's something to be solved.
I'm sorry.
And you just have to let it happen.
I know that it's not. I know that it's not something that can be solved, but like
Right.
I there's just a part of me that wants to fit a lot of this stuff into the right,
Right.
puzzle hole, and like
Right.
you can't fault me for that, right?
No, because I was also like that where, once I started watching more avant-garde films,
Yeah.
I couldn't handle it. I was like, it didn't make any sense. And it
Yeah.
frustrated me to the point where I couldn't enjoy it. And I finally had to reach a point where I could let that go. This was a big turning point for me enjoying the works of David Lynch.
Okay.
A lot of David Lynch's works operate like a dream. There is dream logic to them.
Mm-hmm.
There are scenes that do not make sense. There are things that you're like, wait, did that happen?
Yeah.
Everything up to this point makes sense, but that was so fantastical. I don't understand what's happening.
Mm-hmm.
And they're acknowledging it, or they're not acknowledging it, like the characters in the film. Like, what is happening?
Yeah.
And it's just to throw you off. It's just to be, it's all vibes. It's all vibes, baby.
Sure, but like, and that doesn't have a problem. I really like this movie.
Okay.
I enjoyed it. Like
Yeah.
I enjoyed everything that I watched.
So I'm not coming at it to be defensive then. I don't need to be.
No, you don't need to. No, you don't need to defend the movie because there's nothing to defend. I like the movie.
Yeah.
I liked everything about it. It's artfully made. Ari Aster trusts that the people who are watching his films, he knows his audience.
Yes.
He knows that if he doesn't have to explain anything to you because you are smart enough, whatever,
Right.
to pick up on the little details. Like he does a lot of show don't tell.
Yes.
And which I
love
appreciate.
that. Yes.
You know,
because it makes repeat viewings rewarding too.
Yes.
Yes.
I like this movie a lot. It's just that I also like to see meaning in a lot of
Mm-hmm.
a lot of things, and it's just a part of me that wants that. Another one of my favorite horror movies that you do not like, Funny Games. I love that film. I'll watch that, every so often, and there are weird parts of that movie, but they're like few and far between.
Yes.
And they're like they're neat little bows on a really good package already,
Or like a flourish in the film, essentially.
Exactly.
To be mind bending.
right?
Yeah.
So I don't mind those. I can excuse that stuff when there's
I can excuse it. Like
no, Jared. We don't have enough time to talk about Funny Games,
Yeah.
and I'm pretty sure you don't want to talk about that movie anymore.
Honestly, yeah, that movie bums me out. And I bet even more so now.
I love that movie.
Yeah.
I've watched it since I've had my son. It doesn't do anything to me. I don't know. But anyways, when the entire movie is that, I know that there's something there. There's
Yeah.
a lot of there, and I just want to find a cogent point, different flashpoints in this movie where I can draw a straight line from here to here.
Yeah.
From one end to the other, and everything else I understand is noise in Beau's head. And so it's just that's the difficult thing for me, but I do love this movie. And and if you do like all of the other two movies that we had mentioned earlier, Midsommar and Hereditary, I think you will like this movie.
Yeah.
I think you have the intelligence.
There's a good chance you'll come away with something.
Yeah,
having
you'll
taken
be-
something out of it.
Yes, it's just it is a 3-hour slog. It's very difficult, but it is rewarding. It's good. It's a good movie.
I like I was saying about avant-garde films.
Yeah.
More surrealist,
Sure.
genre films that I
Yeah.
had to kind of open myself up to finally like get into. Mulholland Drive was a big one for me. That was one of the first like surrealist movies I'd ever seen. It's a David Lynch film that, I mean, the whole movie is a series of bad dreams.
Okay.
We should check that out. Maybe not for the pod, but that's
Okay, just
it's a good time.
we hang out. No, we'll watch that
Yeah,
one.
it's a hangout movie. And then El Topo was one that I watched at the height of my pretentious like college
Ooh.
student. Like, let's hang out in my friend's basement and watch El Topo and Holy Mountain. And well, I went into it being like, I'm gonna be cool. I'm gonna smoke a joint and watch El Topo, dude. And I'm gonna be like, I get this. I get cinema.
Yeah.
Well, I was like repulsed by that movie.
I've never seen it. You don't have to give me a synopsis.
It's like if Salvador Dali directed
oh Jesus,
like The Good, Bad, and the Ugly.
Oh wow.
Yeah, that's bizarre to
crazy
put it
combination.
one way. Now, am I glad I saw it? Fuck yeah. That movie, if I even tried to explain that movie to like some of my coworkers, they would look at me like I need to be locked up.
You'd
you know
see
what I mean?
the ooze coming out of their ear. yeah.
They would point at me and order the cops to lock me up, and then I put on the sunglasses and I realized they're the aliens from They Live. But yeah, watching movies like that, initially, like I'd have hangups about it, and you just have to let go and just realize like it's a movie. Like it doesn't all need to be a series of like scenes that make sense. It can just have dream logic to itself,
Maybe.
But that is just one way to, I think if you open yourself up to that, this movie flows a lot better.
Yeah.
No,
I get it. I don't know. Maybe this is just a problem that I have, but one movie that this movie reminded me of was I'm Thinking of Leaving,
I'm so glad you brought that up. I'm Thinking of Leaving You.
Yes.
It's a Charlie Kaufman film. This is the most Charlie Kaufman film not made by Charlie Kaufman.
Yeah. Did he also do Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind?
Yes. And Adaptation, if you've seen that. I love that movie.
I've not seen Adaptation, but
I recommend that one.
But the other two I've seen.
Yeah.
But so
Synecdoche, New York, another very similar movie to this.
I've not.
Philip Seymour Hoffman.
I've not seen it. Okay. Well, yeah. I watched that when it came on Netflix because I was really excited to see it. Me too. And I really enjoyed it, but I was trying to understand like I was doing the same thing. I was like,
that is a dream logic movie. Yeah.
What is the there? Mm-hmm. And I want to say that the main character is what is his name?
I'm Thinking of Ending Things.
I'm Thinking of Ending Things.
That's what it's I don't think we got it right earlier. I'm Thinking of Ending Things.
I'm Thinking of Ending Things. That's what it was. Where what's his name? The Doughboy. He's in everything now.
Mike Mitchell?
No. No. He's.
The guy that looks like Matt Damon.
Yeah.
Jesse Plemons.
I think that he's the main character. You think
I love him, to be clear.
Yeah, you think it's the girlfriend, but it's actually him. He's the main character. And I want to say that everything that is happening is a fantasy of bringing home a girl to his family to
impress his parents.
When in all actuality, he might be transgendered and he lives a lonely life, or
at least he has impulses that he never acted on.
Exactly. He's got a internalized and he's actually just this like poor schmuck who's a janitor,
elderly janitor at the school. Yeah.
But so I was able to parse that with that movie, and there's a lot of shit to cut through just to once again find that line.
Yeah.
And I'm probably gonna watch this movie like 3 or 4 fucking times, and I'm gonna find it eventually.
I'm glad you brought that movie up because it is very similar.
100%.
And I did not like that movie. I ultimately was like, what the fuck? I was so frustrated with that movie.
Haley didn't like it, but I enjoyed it.
Yeah. But I'm glad you brought it up because I think it's a great comparison point. Because whereas I didn't like I'm Thinking of Ending Things, it had its moments for sure.
Yeah.
That movie had its moments, certainly, like when his parents are aging rapidly as they're going through stuff. And then even... I was at my most frustrated at the dance at the end, though, but I won't get into it.
That's fine, yeah.
But I thought this movie, while I can admit they are extremely similar, I actually love this movie because it was just resonating with me in just the right ways.
Yeah.
Because I think that this movie is so much more on my wavelength as far as like being someone that suffers from anxiety.
Yes.
And guilt.
Yeah.
Not really shame. I don't know that I deal with shame as much, but I'm full of anxiety and guilt.
You have some parts of you that you feel a kinship with Bo,
right?
And so because of that, the movie means more to you,
right?
Yeah. So I get it. I love the movie too, but I just need a fucking straight line. I need it. So would you recommend this movie, and what would you rate it?
Ooh, okay. How to recommend a movie like this? Very selective. I gotta know the person.
Yeah.
And if I didn't know them, I'd have to say, hey, I don't know if I could recommend this to you. I'd really have to know your taste profile.
Easy. You go, hey, do you like Blumhouse movies? Oh, hey, then don't worry.
Okay, come on.
Got him.
They don't need to be a punching bag. Come on.
I'm gonna do it though. I'm gonna do it.
My rating for it, 4 out of 5. 4.5 out of 5.
I'm in between 3 and 5.
Yeah. Well, Hereditary and Midsommar are 5 out of 5.
Yeah, perfect across the board. There's no flaws.
Yeah. 1000%.
But so like this is Ari at his most vulnerable and putting
and personal. Yes.
and putting the most effort in there. So I mean, of course, it's gonna be messy because everybody's life is messy.
Yeah.
But man, it was fucking good.
It's a beautiful film. I'm so glad we saw it.
Same here.
Yeah.
So hey, actually, one other question that I had, because I've been seeing other people online do this. So the people have been comparing. We have 3 very prolific horror movie directors who have come out recently, and their stuff is always fire. And it's Robert Eggers, Ari Aster, and Jordan Peele. And all 3 of these directors have had their 3 movies come out. We've got The Vitch, The Lighthouse, and The Northman for Robert Eggers. We've got Hereditary, Midsommar, and Beau is Afraid for Ari Aster, and we have Get Out, Us, and Nope for Jordan Peele. So, who's the better director?
Okay.
What's your 1, 2, 3?
It's really difficult.
I know. That's why I asked.
Who do I think has the strongest of 3 movies, which is so minuscule?
Strongest trilogy.
The strongest oeuvre of the 3
Yeah.
is Jordan Peele, I think.
Yeah, you think?
I do.
You think he's the most competent?
I think his weakest is Us, but it's still a fantastic movie. It's also the one I've watched the least out of the 3.
Yeah.
Like Nope. I think Nope is my favorite, but Get Out is a very strong second.
Get Out's my favorite. Nope was good.
I love Nope, man.
Nope was good.
Nope was so fucking good.
But Get Out is his, like, it came out fucking swinging. It
Yeah.
was strong as shit. It was so good.
I think Robert Eggers might be the bottom for me.
Eggers is the third.
And I hate to do that to him. Like, I don't want to have to. I reject the premise of this.
Jared, gun to your head.
We don't have to. Yeah, gun to my head. I don't like making.
It's okay.
We don't need to
put everything in a box.
Yeah, we don't need to make the girls competitive. Okay, the girlies. Sorry. Yeah, I love all 3, and I can't wait to see what any of them do next.
Yeah,
I look forward to all of their films. I think they're 3 of the best directors working in the biz right now.
Doesn't Peele and Eggers both have one in the chamber already? Right?
I know Eggers has a vampire movie coming out very soon.
That's right. He's redoing Nosferatu.
Yes.
Oh, that movie's gonna fuck.
You know it is.
Oh, that movie's gonna be so good. And that's actually gonna be the start of the Dark Universe.
Shut the fuck up.
And you can't cut it out. You can't cut it out.
Peele, I have no idea what his next movie is. I feel like Nope is still kind of fresh, but I haven't heard any word from him about him. You know?
Yeah.
I know he's been hanging out with Kojima a lot. So
that's right.
Maybe it'll be a Death Stranding movie. Maybe he's taken over from the King Kong guy.
Well, I know that Peele's been trying to put like more references of things that he likes. Like he did the Akira slide and Nope.
Did you see the interview where they asked him about it?
Yeah.
And he's just laughing. He's like, I got to do it, man.
Yeah.
I love him.
So like, yeah, maybe he'll do something like a love letter to something that he enjoys.
A love letter to cinema, perhaps.
I don't know what the fuck you're
like The Fablemans.
I haven't seen it
That's how
yet.
everybody described that movie to the point where it was just.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Man, I'm so glad I'm not on fucking Twitter. It has clearly rotted your fucking brain.
Yeah, it does.
But if you were to ask me the same question, Jared, which I know you didn't, but I'm gonna fucking answer it anyway.
Yes. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. Ari Aster's number 1, and,
Yeah.
and then it's Jordan Peele, and then it's Eggers. Eggers, unfortunately, is the weakest of the 3. Not saying he's bad, because he's definitely not.
No.
And I love all of his movies. Oh man, I got to see The Lighthouse in theaters. Wait, did you see it with me?
I think I was there.
Fuck, that movie was so fucking good.
We saw it at Lakeside.
Lakeside, yeah.
Yep.
And god damn, I really enjoyed that movie.
I will never forget that night. Because after we departed on the way home, we passed what was my workplace at the time.
Yeah.
And it was surrounded by police. And
that's right.
Thought that was strange. And 2 young people had just died in a motorcycle accident there.
Yeah.
And there is a marker there now for their graves.
Oh, that's
and
sad.
I pass it almost every day.
That's really sad.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yep.
What a great association, Jared. Jesus fucking Christ.
And when I think of The Lighthouse, I always think of that now. Yeah.
Oh, hey, one last question before we wrap it up. So I know that after Midsommar was done, Ari Aster did an interview where he talked about how he wanted to do a sci-fi movie.
Yes.
A sci-fi. I don't know if it was sci-fi horror, just sci-fi in general.
I'm sure it'd be horror adjacent.
Don't tell me Beau is Afraid is his sci-fi movie. There's no way, right? No. Okay.
I think it got scrapped because Beau is Afraid was originally was supposed to be his directorial debut. It was the first script that he penned, but then he
no way.
put it on the back burner and worked on it a lot more.
Okay.
Yeah, it was actually supposed to come out like a year or two ago as
Yeah,
well. And
but
he like delayed it and was like, I'm still working on it. And I'm sure it was because he's doing things in post-production, like
adding all the graffiti.
Yeah, honestly, yeah, it's probably background stuff, and then probably working more on that fantastical sequence because that had to have taken so much time.
Oh,
to
yeah,
work.
for sure.
Beautiful ass scene though. God damn. But yeah, it's a fantastic movie. I'm so glad we saw it.
me too.
Would I recommend it though? To go back to that?
No, I agree.
Really depends.
You definitely need to know the person that you're recommending it to.
Yes.
I would recommend it to anybody that has a weird relationship with their mother. I'm dead serious.
It might be too much.
No, I think that it's a good. It might jumpstart people to like go actually go to a therapist because your mom does not control everything around you.
Do you think this movie was pro therapy though? It didn't feel like it.
Well, it was. It wasn't in a way because his mom was powerful enough to buy a therapist.
Right.
But I do believe like showcasing a person who has problems, going and having a space where they feel safe enough to share details about their life to try and get help is a good thing.
Well, and this movie is excellent at exploiting places where you feel vulnerable.
Yes.
Both, his therapist and the sessions being, just a trap for his mother, but also like when he's naked in the bathroom.
Yeah, there's a guy hanging up.
Just seeing a character naked in the bathroom like made me nervous and like start writhing in my seat. Yeah, squirming. And then when you realize that there's a person hanging over him and there's a brown recluse spider loose, there's so many. That's why I felt that so intensely, everything happening there.
I think the only part of the movie that really, really fucked with me was when Tony drank the paint.
That was rough.
That had me squirming.
It was rough.
For sure.
I looked away. I remember at one point it was so rough. Yeah. Man.
I love Ari.
Man, he's so good.
He's so good.
Well, folks, thank you for listening. You can find our show on social media by searching for @DebaserPod. I'm Jared Rusk, and you can find me on Twitter @JaredSRusk or on Instagram @solid_slack. Will, where can people find you, and would you like to plug anything?
It is always pocket_infinity on Instagram. Nothing more, nothing less. I haven't posted anything since the last episode. I've been working on stuff, but like getting complete with projects is very difficult whenever I'm juggling them with my actual work.
Right.
But I will post stuff eventually.
I was going to ask, are you open to commissions, or are you just too overloaded right now?
Oh, it's way too over. I'm doing a commission for a comic book store around the corner for some store credit, which is fucking killer.
Yeah.
And I am working on stuff for the next Games Workshop event coming up May 31st. And I'm probably going to be like doing constant stuff for them from this point until the end of November. So like I'm going to be consistently busy, and I'm working on a personal thing for myself. And I'm going to be doing a lot of stuff just for me, cuz like I'm getting consistent work from GW, but the moment that slacks, in November when I have no work, you'll definitely hear about it. But yeah.
Well, yeah, well, that's great. Follow pocket_infinity for that. And with that, thank you for listening. Good night, folks. Debaser is hosted by Will Taylor and Jared Rusk. The podcast is edited and produced by Jared Rusk. Want to email the show? Send it to podcast@debaserpod.com. Want to help us out? Please leave us a review on your podcast platform of choice, especially Apple Podcasts. and tell a friend to listen to The Debaser. Thank you for listening, and take care out there.